Hello, students. This is it's a video lecture, but it also functions as a syllabus quiz where I'm going to go over the structure of JMS 200 for fall 2023. Now, by this point, hopefully y'all have seen the other video that I made. The other video is just to get to know me kind of video, an introduction to me, Professor Arsenault. This is just an overview of JMS 200. Okay, first off, what the heck is the class about? I'm going to look at the syllabus. Give me a moment here. Um, what is the class about? The official course description is mass media and emerging forms of niche media in the global community, theory, structures, functions, practices, problems, interrelationships, economics, critical analysis, history, and ethics. So basically, what this is class is all about is the media industries. And note, I use the plural. I do not believe that there is any singular media, just like there is no such thing as the government or the military. There is a lot of sort of different branches, different units. And with the media, there are many different media industries. You have traditional, sometimes we call these the legacy industries: radio, television, film, print newspapers, print magazines. But you also have things like video games, you have music. Um, and then you have, like, very small regional publications that cater to a small group of people, and then you have giant organizations like the New York Times. So I don't like to lump them all together and talk about the media. I talk about the media industries. So we're going to learn about the media industries and how they operate. Why is this stuff important? Well, if you want to major in anything in the School of Journalism and Media Studies, and hopefully many of y'all want to do that, that would be journalism, advertising, public relations, or media studies. If you want to major in one of these areas, then the class is required. So you have to take it. End of discussion. You have to take the class. That's why it's important. However, most of y'all do not want to work in one of the media industries. I'm no fool. I know the constituency that I'm dealing with. You're like, I want to sell real estate. I'm going to work for my uncle selling tanning salons in New Jersey. I'm going to join the military. Whatever. These are all fine, fine jobs to do. And if you have a relative who can give you a guaranteed job after graduation, you ought to pursue that. But whatever you want to do in life, you're going to be a college graduate, inshallah. All of us will be college graduates. And you need to be educated, discriminating, and discerning consumers of information. Not everything that is broadcast is true. Not everything that is posted online is true. Not everything that's tweeted is true. And I'm still going to call it Twitter, and I'm going to still use the term tweet. I'm not going to change my lingo to X or whatever the heck Elon Musk is calling it. But not all the information that's coming at you, and we're getting information from so many different channels, not all of it's true. But if you understand how these various media industries operate, and specifically the economics of how they operate, you might have a little insight, or to put some context to evaluate that information. Anyway, so that's why the class is important. I think it's important for everyone, whether you want to work in one of the media industries or not. I think it's important information, and I will do my best. Hopefully, you've already got a sense that I have a good sense of humor, and I like to entertain people as much as educate them. I will do my best. I will do my absolute best to make the class interesting and engaging, so you feel like it's worth your time, and you feel like you're getting your money's worth, or maybe your parents are getting their money's worth. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, share my screen. Go over it. There's going to be some questions embedded in this video lecture, which will be the structure of video lectures moving forward. There'll be a couple of questions embedded, and you need to answer the questions correctly to move forward. Oh, okay. Uh, Before I forget, before we move on, the class meets on Tuesdays via Zoom. Okay, there is a Zoom link on Canvas. We meet Tuesdays at 12:30 via Zoom. Probably go 40, maybe 45 minutes, something like that. Well, I will go over material, answer questions, preview what's coming up, and also talk about current events as they relate to the class. For the most part, we're not meeting on Thursdays. Okay, we're not meeting on Thursdays. I know it says that we're not meeting on Thursdays, but this is a hybrid format where some of the material you can do at your own pace, your own schedule. We call this asynchronous. So Tuesdays is when we're going to meet live via Zoom. Tuesdays is when we're going to meet live via Zoom. Okay, now I'll get into sharing my screen. If you want to contact me, email me through Canvas inbox. Okay. I have a lot of students. I have hundreds of students, literally hundreds of students. So there's no way I can keep track of everything. And if you just email me through regular SDSU email, it's going to get lost when I come back several hours later or the next day and I can't find it. That's not good for either one of us. So if you use Canvas Inbox, it's just much, much more organized, really helps me keep organized. And I infinitely prefer that as a method of communication and spell my name correctly if you saw the last video. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can with reasonable expectations that I also have a life and other things to do as well. 2 business days at the most. Probably 1 business day is more likely, which means if you email me on a holiday or on a weekend, you may have to wait till Monday or the day after the holiday. But I will get back to you, especially if you use Canvas Inbox. Grading. Evidently, grades are very important to students. I have learned that from 17 years of teaching. Students are very interested in grades. Quizzes. Quizzes are going to be a big chunk of the grade. There's 5 quizzes. I'm going to go over the structure of that in a moment. The lowest quiz grade is dropped, with the exception of this right here. I'm not going to drop this grade. So yeah, there's 5. We dropped the lowest one. And that's the way that works. Video lectures, they're going to be very much like this, using this format where I make a video, I embed questions. You need to answer the question correctly to advance. I'll talk more about video lectures in a moment. Packback is the platform that manages the discussion boards. And this is a big part of the class. It's 15% of your grade. There's instructions posted, a prompt or a topic of the week. Usually it's whatever the topic of the week is. If the week is about newspapers, then post a question or a comment that deals with newspapers. I'll explain that in a moment. Now, there are 2 things I'm calling supplemental assignments, okay? And I will go over these. Together, these are only worth 5% of your grade, which means I want you to do them, but there's not a huge high stakes thing. Shouldn't cause you any stress, should cause 0 anxiety. Just do them by the appropriate deadline. Okay, the JMS assessment survey. This is going to be due August 31st. I think you can see that, right? Do I need to move myself? Yeah. Okay, now let me explain the assessment survey. We, as a School of Journalism and Media Studies, I've been here 17 years, as I already acknowledged, we're constantly trying to improve our curriculum. We're not just, sitting back and resting on autopilot, letting ChatGPT run the class. We're constantly updating and tweaking. One of the things that we do is evaluate students as they graduate. When they graduate, we want to see what they know. And we compare that to at the beginning of what they knew when they came in. JMS 200 is generally something you take at the beginning of, or near the beginning of your college career before you have taken other JMS classes. So take this test or survey, not really a test, survey, answer the questions to the best of your ability. There's no point in cheating. There's no point in Googling the answers, okay? The score you get is totally irrelevant. If you get every question correct, doesn't raise your grade. If you get every question wrong, doesn't lower your grade. We are just trying to gauge what you know about various media industries or different aspects related to the media. Hopefully that's clear. We're just trying to gauge, sort of students who have not taken the upper division classes yet. What do they know? And then when students at the end of the pipeline take the same set of questions, presumably, hopefully they do better. And if they don't do better, then we know, hey, we're missing out. We're not doing well in these areas. So it's a valuable tool for us as instructors to help us evaluate our overall curriculum. So that's why it doesn't help us if you cheat on this. So do it. You'll get a grade in gradebook just for doing it, but there's no point in cheating. Okay. There's no point in cheating. Link is on Canvas. If it's not already on Canvas, it's going to be on Canvas soon. Okay. And you have till Thursday, August 31st to complete the JMS assessment survey. This is the textbook, The Mediated World by David Mindich. If you are in equitable access, you have access to this online. If you're not in equitable access, get this however you can. I don't care how you get it. I don't get money from it. So just get it however you can. Get a used copy. If you want to find a copy somewhere elsewhere, through whatever means you have, I don't care. Just get it. But again, if you're in equitable access, you will get this. The class is structured around this textbook, and there is valuable information in the textbook. Okay, video lectures that I'm doing. Okay, all right. In the bottom right, you might even see, look down, you might even see this little CC right here. Okay, I'm going to try and set it so that there are captions, words that appear on the screen underneath me. This is to help, this is for accessibility. Maybe some people for whom English is not their first language, or maybe people who are hard of hearing, or other people just like having the words on the screen. Okay. So if the words are not on the screen and you want them on the screen, click the CC button. Okay. That CC button right there. Okay. If the words are not appearing underneath me as I talk, click the CC button. I do take the time to get this to function. Okay. I do make effort because accessibility is important, right? We want the material to be available to everyone, no matter what. To go along with the video lectures each week, I will post a Word document. It might be one Word document for each video lecture. Sometimes I think I combine them where I put like 2 video lectures in one Word document, whatever. It's there. I would strongly encourage you to download these. They're on Canvas. Um, it's just the words and the important bullet points and the important takeaways from the video lecture. I honestly, I think you should download these, save these, put them in a file on your computer. You could use them in other JMS classes as kind of a cheat sheet or for reference. You could consult them when you're doing the quizzes. Okay, you can use whatever resources you need to help you answer the quiz questions. Okay, so that's that. And then I also want to say, and I only learned this after I had started using Canvas. On Canvas, there's a link that says download in alternative formats. You can download the lecture notes. I just post a Word document. You could download it in different versions, including this audio MP3 version, which is really cool. It's kind of this robotic voice, like your GPS talking to you, that just kind of reads the lecture notes to you. I think that's cool. If you find you might need that help or you want that help, I'm just letting you know that it's there. Okay. Anyway, lecture notes are posted for each video lecture. Oh, and the video lectures are due on Thursday. Okay. Everything is due on a Thursday. Thursday is the due date for the class. Okay. There's nothing going to be due the first Thursday, the first week of class, because we're just getting acclimated. We're getting out of summer, blah, blah, blah. But, starting August 31st, which is a Thursday, from then on, everything is going to be due on Thursdays. So just get that in your head. The video lectures are going to be due on Thursdays. All right, quizzes. Quizzes are also going to be on Thursdays because we're not meeting on Thursday. You have time in your schedule. I know you do not have an SDSU class scheduled at 12:30 on Thursday. I know you don't because the system won't let you. So use that time to take the quiz or whenever. There's going to be 20 multiple choice questions. They're based on the book. There are some questions from the book. A lot of the questions are from the video lectures or from the notes that I post for the video lectures. Some of the questions will be from the Zoom discussions when I bring up current events. It's not just to kill time, it's to relate a current event to what's going on in the textbook. So 20 questions. You have 30 minutes to do it from the time you start it. You can't pause it and come back, but it's open all day. 12:01 a.m. If you got up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., if you got up some ungodly early hour, you could do it right away. Or you could wait till end of the day Thursday when you get all your other classes done, you get off your restaurant shift, whatever. I would not recommend waiting till very end of the day. You might not be in the most clear, coherent, cogent frame of mind to do it. But you can do it, and Canvas also works very well on phones. You could do this thing on your phone if you wanted to. So that's that. Okay, there's 5 quizzes. The lowest grade is dropped. If you miss one, we're going to drop that one. There's no makeups. There are no alternatives. I'm not going to shift it to a Friday. I'm not going to shift it to a Wednesday for you. The quizzes are on Thursday. Okay, that's the way it is. And it's not a group activity. I did say you could use any resource. That's any resource you have. Okay, you do this to the best of your ability. It is not a group resource. Don't create a chat room and share information, share screenshots. Don't do that. You're only cheating yourself. And if you've been paying attention, the quizzes aren't hard. Just pay attention, right? Devote more work up front, and then you don't have that stress at the end of the semester when you're freaking out because your GPA is 0.1 too low. If you put in the work up front, you're not going to have that stress later. Okay. That's my kindly advice from an elder human being. More work up front creates less stress down the road. Packback. Okay, Packback is worth 15% of your grade. The way Packback works is, and it's free. If you have equitable access, you have access to this tool called Platform. Okay, there are assignment links on Canvas. Click that assignment link. You go into Packback that way. Don't go to Packback on your own. You could log into packback.com and create an account over there. Don't do that and then try and circumnavigate your way back to JMS 200. Just follow Canvas and everything's going to work out much better for you. Okay. If you have equitable access, Packback is included in that. If you do not have equitable access, yes, unfortunately, you will have to pay for a subscription to Packback. I don't know how much they cost. It's not that much. By my standards, it's not that much. I know everything's relative, but it is affordable. And for a small fee, you'll have access to Packback for the semester. So yes, you do need to have access to Packback, whether you pay for it yourself or if you're within equitable access. Okay, hopefully that'll be pretty clear and it won't cause confusion to anyone. When there is a Packback posted, there's not one every week. There is not one every week. Like we don't have one the week we have quizzes, for example. But if it's posted on Canvas, that means there's a Packback. Post a question about the material. You've just watched my video lecture, you've just read the textbook, or you see a current event. Ask a question that relates to that topic. Newspapers, radio, magazines, movies, public relations, whatever the topic of the week is. And you have to respond to two other questions. So someone posts a question, then you go and respond to other questions. You have to respond to at least two questions. And you must get a minimum curiosity score of 50. The system will tell you if you just type 3-4 words or if you just type gibberish, you're not going to get a curiosity score of 50. The Packback uses some primitive form of AI to actually evaluate your question. Is this a valid question? Based on, I've been using this for a few semesters. It seems like if you write 2 or 3 sentences, you're going to get the curiosity score. Or if you have a link to some type of citation for your question, based on this, here's my question, that seems to help. And then your responses also need to meet the minimum curiosity score. And it's the same kind of thing. If you respond to someone, I know y'all have seen this, you've been in school a long time. Someone writes this long post, and then the response is like, yes, I agree. What he said, what she said. I mean, that's not a response. You need to type 2 or 3 sentences as a response to someone. If your response gets a curiosity score of 50, it's going to count as a response. So if you post a question and the 2 responses by the deadline and they're good responses that meet the minimum curiosity score, you are going to get your 10 points. Okay. And like with the quizzes where I dropped the lowest one, I don't even count all the Packbacks. So if you fell asleep one week and missed it, you'll be fine. I think there's 9 Packback assignments. I only count 7. Okay. And if you need help, this link is in the syllabus. Pretty much everything you need is in the syllabus. Just read the syllabus, right? Just read the syllabus. If you have questions about Packback or something that's not working, please email them, not me. Okay. I just sort of facilitate it, but I'm not the Packback expert. And Sona. Okay. For those of you who've been around a while, or maybe if you've taken another JMS class, maybe if you've taken 210, for example, you're familiar with Sona. Here's what Sona is, okay? A lot of people want to do research on human subjects, attitudes, opinions, knowledge. What do people think about cigarette smoking? What do people think about this? What do people think about that? And so asking questions of college students is a very useful and easy way to do that. Y'all are a captive audience, okay? Rather than have us as faculty members constantly bombard you with like, hey, answer these questions, which used to be the case. I remember when that was the case. Different professors or graduate students or people affiliated with San Diego State came together and came up with a more organized way of doing that. Okay. So you, as a student, will create an account at Sona. throughout the semester, you'll get emails saying, hey, there's a new SONA opportunity, like a survey or some type of research opportunity they want you to participate in. You need to participate in enough of these to get one SONA credit. Um, I think each thing is usually worth like half a SONA credit. Maybe you spend a half hour and you get half a credit. Then you spend another half hour, you get another credit. That will be one SONA credit, which will fulfill your obligations for JMS 200. And also, there's no double dipping. Okay. So if you're in SONA for another class, you get credit for that other class. You got to do enough SONA just for me to get credit for JMS 200. So one research opportunity in SONA is not going to count or shouldn't count for two different classes. Okay. Um, I know maybe seems confusing up front, but it be simple once you get into it. And you have all semester to do this. SONA opens up early in the semester, maybe even day one of the semester. I don't know when it opens, and it runs to the end of the semester. Okay. So you have all semester to do this. This is not something you need to stress or have anxiety about or anything like that. But that is the purpose of SONA and what we're doing with SONA. Okay, that's it. I did this without a script, kind of just talking off the top of my head because I've done this a few times. Hopefully, I got all the information you needed, and we are off for a new semester. Thumbs up.